Hello, class. When Dr. Haney explained that we would not be able to use any type of cardboard for this assignment or any type of paper, I definitely was taken aback. I think we probably all were. How do you represent such visionaries without putting it on paper? But as I began to research each creator each week, I realized what I wanted to do. And so I have created a display for you, somewhat of a utopia, if you will. And hopefully you won't have too much trouble seeing this. My amazing husband and my wonderful assistant, my 13-year-old daughter, and I have worked from every angle to try to remove glares from the light, but I'm afraid that some of the glaring couldn't be avoided without a highly trained professional key grip, and that unfortunately was not in our budget. But please know that we've tried. There are lights hanging from everywhere, and we're holding things, trying to make sure that we minimize the glare as much as possible. But being the creator that I've learned to be and am aspiring to be, we will look at that as reflection and see that light as an indication that this project is giving us some guidance in some positive directions. We'll spin it. So I present to you the Creator's Utopia, and I'm going to allow the camera to show what we have presented here for you. What you see before you is a 10 by 10 by 10 box that composes what I refer to as the Creator's Utopia. If you allow yourself to think outside of this box, you will better understand what's inside it. A key component of this creation is the presence of nature. If you notice, there's grass and roots and there's animals throughout this utopia. And that is a tribute to Annie Dillard, my first creator. Annie Dillard felt a deep connection to nature and the spirit realm. She allowed that passion to inspire her creativity, which led her to become a leading American environmentalist writer, earning the Pulitzer Prize in 1975. She was connected to nature by loving its beauty, by fearing its power, and reverencing its creator. Now, flying here in the corner, as you can see there, is a very eccentric woman made of metal. She's flying freely in the Creator's Utopia. If you guessed that she must represent Pamela Travers, then you are right. Pamela Travers resolved that ideas did not come from any specific source. She believed that it was quite natural that ideas just existed. Like Annie Dillard, during her childhood, she was allowed a good deal of freedom to read and explore as she pleased. So this whimsical creature, this whimsical woman that you see flying through the utopia, is the perfect reference for Pamela Travers. She watched her father struggle with alcoholism, yet she rose above her circumstances and created innovative work like the Mary Poppins collection, which inspired people of all ages all over the world. Now the next character, creator if you will, represented here is Michel Foucault, who was a French philosopher. Now, we mentioned earlier that Annie Dillard loved nature and she was inspired by animals, but the birds and the butterflies in this utopia, while related to Annie Dillard, they're also tied to Foucault, who believed that he had an idea about this utopia that involved real animals and these unique mystical animals. And that brings you to the unicorn that you see sitting next to the bird. This speaks to his desire to remove himself from the mental categories that restrict us from taking a fresh look at the world. Michel Foucault, you see, was also vocal regarding the rights of gay and the gay and lesbian community. So like Foucault, this unicorn sits defiantly out of place, yet commanding the acknowledgement of its presence and existence in this beautiful place called creativity. Now, toward the back of the utopia, you will see a tall Native American woman who represents N. Scott Momaday. And she is standing in front of, you can see the back wall, she's standing in front of a mirror, which also represents reflection. Now, Mamaday's father ensured that throughout his childhood and into his adolescence, he had an awareness and a connection to his Native American heritage. His mother worked hard to keep him focused on education, knowing that as a Native American, education would be essential for her son. And so that's why you'll see, if we turn this Utopia around, you will see a pillar of books that the Native American woman is standing next to. And that represents his mother's dedication to his education. That pillar of books represents that education was a cornerstone in his world. And it's a cornerstone in this Utopia as well, as all of our creators that we read about were known for reading books all the time, especially as children. In the Creators on Creating, Mamaday is quoted as saying, "I would say that much of my writing has been concerned with the question of man's relationship to earth and man's relationship to himself and to his past and his heritage." And so the elements of nature, the clock's representation of time that you see in the front, the mirror that you see in the back, and the Native American family that you see pillared in the middle of the Utopia are all synonymous with N. Scott Mamaday. The next creator who influenced this Utopia is Peter Tchaikovsky. Planted strategically here in the rear corner of the Utopia is a cello, which represents the beautiful, bold, musical compositions Tchaikovsky shared with the world. When asked what the source of his creativity was, he, like Travers, found it difficult to define a specific source. But unlike her, he did describe composing music like the process of germination. He explained, if the work is there, and I love this quote, he says, if the work is there, it takes root with extraordinary force, shoots up through the earth, puts forth branches, leaves, and finally blossoms. And so, growing together in this Utopia, you find a cello, and you find big, beautiful flowers, and they're all nourished by a water pot that you see sitting on top of the books. But that water pot is not full of water as you normally would find it. It is also full of unique things like soil, there's seeds, there's moss. So this world is not as you normally would expect it to be. Now, here in the Utopia, I planted an oxymoron. Sitting low and meek right in the center of the Utopia, of this space, is a Native American mother clinging to her small children. That mother represents what was important to sci-fi and fantasy writer Ursula Le Guin. This oxymoron is really a tribute to Le Guin, as she is known for creating worlds that are opposite from the norm. Le Guin was not a Native American at all, so yes, this definitely is an oxymoron. But she is a firm believer that women do not have to choose between books and babies. They can be both bright and articulate, yet nourishing providers in the lives of their families. You may have noticed, as I've gone through all of the creators and I'm coming down to wrap things up, you may have noticed that some of these elements were used to represent more than one creator. Now that is symbolic of how they relate to one another in spite of their different backgrounds, their different beliefs, and their different upbringings. You may also wonder why I didn't compartmentalize or use a bigger box, if you will, that had a section for each creator. But in the world of creativity, creativity coexists of ideas, themes and mantras. They're all coexisting together, blending, while still sustaining their own unique intrinsic value. But still yet, there are elements that I've not mentioned yet. If you noticed, there's a pair of reading glasses sitting on top of the pillar of books. And for me, that represents the visionary that I found in all of these creators. The visionary that I now see even more clearly in myself as a creator. There is a cross also that is suspended right in the center of this universe, if you will. And for me, that is representative of the commanding presence of my spiritual relationship with the ultimate creator, who is God himself. On the outside of the box, almost transparently, are the words love and dreams. Now, the intent was to give the appearance that they may have been on the inside of the box, so that you may not have been able to tell that they were outside of the box. And the abstract purpose of that is to make the case that if all of the right elements are inside of the box, passion and inspirations cannot be contained and will always find their way outside of the box. And of course, that's the ultimate goal, that our love, that our passion, that our creativity spills out of any of the boundaries that anyone can ever set for us. This course has been exciting for me. Doing this project has been exciting. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned how to push myself beyond the pen, the paper, and the cardboard. So I thank you for the opportunity to present to you, and I hope that you all have enjoyed it. Thanks.